Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and I want to talk about a crockpot adventure from Practical Magic, the 1998 movie. Right? I think I'm right about it. I think it was 1998, so I think it was exactly 25 years ago. Wow, a very old film. Let's jump in. Let's talk about this. The reason why I'm calling this a crockpot adventure is, oh my gosh, this movie is a Dungeons and Dragons adventure. Just like flat out, just place it in it's completely a Dungeons and Dragons adventure, but you just have to run it. You don't have to change anything. It's ready to run. It's incredible. It's an incredibly good story with incredibly good non-player characters, an incredibly good structure. It fits perfectly into Dungeons and Dragons. You don't have to change a thing. Just run it straight, right? Now, why would you need to do this? Well, first of all, you may need... there'll be times where you should run crockpot adventures. What's a crockpot adventure? It's like, just throw it in the pot, heat it up, right? Like, and like, so this is my point, right? You could run this Saturday and not take... Just watch Practical Magic. Don't take a single note, and you're ready to run an entire 3-session adventure, right? That you don't need to think about at all. You can literally run it straight from the film, right? And you can reduce it down to one. You can run it as a one-session break in your existing storyline, or you could run it as up to 2 or 3 sessions. It could be 1, 2, or 3. It would fit perfectly, and it's spot on perfect, right? Now, this is a happy accident, right? They did not write Practical Magic to be turned into a crockpot adventure for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, right? But I am suggesting that you do use it because it is a happy accident. It does fit perfectly. So let me explain the premise to you. Spoilers for a 25-year-old movie, blah, blah, bling, blah, blah. Right? All right, but let me explain Practical Magic to you and how you can run it as a Dungeons & Dragons adventure. So first of all, the reason I watched this film is I've been on a Sandra Bullock kick lately. So I'm a child of the 80s and the 90s. Actually, I was born in 1970. And you know what? I thank the Lord above I was, right? I got to see every Star Wars movie in the theater on opening night, right? Like that is a blessing that God gave me, right? And I got to see the Hollywood silver screen in its heyday, like when it was about the best, right? Like, and the reality, but I really love 80s and 90s, and so I'm a huge fan of Sandra Bullock because I've been watching her movies for 3 decades, right? Like, she's incredible, right? And she's in this movie, and so I just watched Practical Magic because I realized I'd never seen it, right? And so I watched Practical Magic, and it is a spot-on, perfect Dungeons & Dragons adventure. So here's the setup, okay? So basically, Sandra Bullock and Nicole Kidman are sisters, and they are straight-up witches. Witchity witch. Full-on witch, right? And this is valuable in Dungeons & Dragons too, because witch is not a class, right? And it works outside of and it's outside Dungeons & Dragons mechanics. So you could say, this lady's a witch, right? And then what you could do is you could simply allow the bog standard Salem witch template to drop. Everybody knows what a Salem witch is. Worship Satan, okay? Gets her, actually, let's do it this way. Gets her power from Satan below, right? For realsies can cast, right? Deals in curses, right? But also has real magical power that can be used to actually accomplish things, right? So that is exactly the type. Real witches who really cast, right? And got real magical powers, right? Up in their jaw. Like, that's what it is. Salem witch. Real witch, right? That's a Salem template witch. For realsies witch, right? You don't need to... And it fits in Dungeons & Dragons because Dungeons & Dragons, it trucks, right? It actually, it fits. Dungeons & Dragons, fully embraces American template magic, right? So a witch fits in Dungeons & Dragons magic. All right, so these chicks are witches, right? And they are witches going back, I think, like 7 generations, right? And every generation is the same, okay? It's it's a witch one of these witches who lives in an American small town in Maine, right? Small Maine town, right? In Maine, they live in a small town, and basically, the first one is there was this witch, and she fell in love with a man, and then her man died, and then she put a curse on herself that she would never, that no man would be able to hurt her, right? And what this meant was, and it turned into a curse on her and all of her generation, that any man who she fell in love with would die, and that he fell in love with them in return, they would die. The man would die. So the witch falls in love, the man falls in love, the man dies. That's the contract. That's the curse, right? And these witches have real power. They can really cast, right? But just like same thing as a warlock pact, right? There's a cost, and the cost is they cannot love any man, and then that man falls in love with them. They can do it, but that man dies. Period. End of sentence. It happens all the time. And there's been 7 generations of these witches where the witch lady falls in love, the man falls in love with her. They have 2 babies who are 2 girls, sisters. The sisters grow up under the curse, and then the whole thing repeats and repeats and repeats, and it never stops because one or both sisters always fall in love with the man always falls in love back, and then the man dies. It's the curse, right? So all you got to do is just have your player characters encounter them, right? Now, and so basically, if you want to, what you could do to adjust it is you could just say, hey, anyone they fall in love with. That's fine. That way, if you have a party of all females, so be it. You'll get there in the long run, right? So basically, adjust as needed. But I suggest running it as standard. But I don't want to restrict anybody's play. If you need to adjust the curse, so be it, right? But I'm going to talk about it as though you're running it straight from the film, right? Okay. All right. So basically, your player characters come across a small village, right? And the village, and at this point, the player characters they're going to need something, right? They're going to give them some kind of condition that can't be cured, right? Even if it's purple spots on them, right? Just say, oh, well, you guys need the witches, right? They live in a hut a mile into the woods. It's 2 sisters. One has red hair and one has brown hair. Go up and see the sister witches, and they'll give you a cure. And it won't even cost them much, probably a gold, right? So player characters go up, and one of them falls in love. And actually, one of the sisters falls in love with one of the adventurers, one of your player characters. And now let's talk about romance in Dungeons and Dragons. How do you run it? It's not easy. It's difficult, right? Because you can't make it creepy, right? So, and you got to make sure you're, and the best way to do this, in my opinion, is PG-13, man. And that's, by the way, Practical Magic is a PG-13 movie. Just run it the way it's designed, okay? So basically, you say, hey, so the witches, so your condition, actually, here's the condition I would give to the characters, because they got a cleric that's going to wipe away any condition. What you can do is say, you were scratched by a creature in the night, and and it won't heal, and nothing the cleric does, and so 1 hit point per hour is being lost to this scratch from an unknown creature that you encountered in the night. You don't know what caused it, and you're losing, and one of your player characters is losing 1 hit point per hour, right? And they can heal, but every day they only heal to 25% of their hit points, right? The player characters will find, they'll hey, we need, so they're going to go and seek, and and when they get to this small village, the villagers are like, oh, hey, listen, this is no problem. The witches can solve this. They can solve all kinds of medical problems for us, right? But you're going to have to go see the witches, right? So they go, and then it doesn't have to be the character who was injured, right? But have the red-haired witch say, oh, hey, we hear your situation, and we will accept payment. We will accept payment from I will accept payment. And then she comes forward and she simply puts her hand on the hand of one of the adventurers and says, I'll accept payment from you. It's going to be, and she'll say, and the payment is going to be a walk in the woods with me. What? And they're like, hey, we got gold. We'll pay you gold. No. That's my payment. A walk in the woods with me. That's the payment. Oh, you guys don't want to take it? That's fine. Go on your way. Go see if you can find somebody else to solve this for you. They're not going to be able to, right? Like, so the sister is, and she's saying, and it's going to be with you, this one player character, right? And so and they're like, well, why is it me? And you're like, that's a good question. You can ask her, right? And then she's going to be coy about it and just say, this is my cost. I don't want to, this is the cost. And if you guys think that's too much, it's fine. Go find your own source. You go find your own, your own solution, right? So at this point, and then at that point, the player character, most likely will say, yes, we're going to go, right? And if they don't, that's fine. You just have a player character that has 25% of their hit points forever. It's fine, right? That ain't going to happen. They're going to come back, right? So the walk in the woods happens, and they say, hey, we've been running this medical, we sell medical fixes for people, right? And we have unusual magic that allows, and we learn this, and the red-haired sister will tell the player character, we learn this from, years and years of doing, we have these unusual medical solutions because we have an unusual magic, right? We're not bound to all the the simplicities of the clerics, right? We have a different structure, right? But the reality is, we've been here, and actually we've been here for 50 years, right? And you're like, wait, aren't you older than? Well, one of the nice things about witchcraft is it can keep you at a specific age, right? And it says, and I've never met anything like you, and I really appreciate this walk, and as soon as we get back from this walk, which is going to be in 30 minutes, I'm gonna heal your person. But I've never seen anyone like you, and I've been spitting, I've fallen in love, and I'm asking you, go. I know you're an adventurer. Go do your adventuring, but after the new, after the New Year celebration, return here for a single day, and I would like another one of these walks because I've fallen in love with you, right? And at that point, you could let the player character say if they've fallen in love with the person or not, and if they're going to agree, and if they're going to agree to come back, right? Now, make it clear that the walk in the wood has fully paid for, the healing of the character, right? Then, if they accept and say, yes, I will come back after 1 year, simply because they enjoyed the walk with the witch, get this, I would advance the entire campaign, 1 entire year, and say, you guys complete 3 adventures, you each get 3 magic items, pick them now, anything of rare or below, you get 1 for each one, and we're going to advance and you get 2 levels in that 1 year. We're going to advance the entire thing 2 levels, and you come back 1 year later. You have a beautiful walk in the woods, and you either fall in love or you don't, right? And if you don't, the witch never wants to see you again, and you go your way. But if you fall in love with her, now they're trapped, right? And then you say, listen, now, and then you learn, and then they depart, and then 6 months later, they find out the curse of the witch, and they realize they're under the witch's curse, and in 6 months before their next visit, they will die, right? Because the witches are cursed like this. And now you got another adventure, right? And they have to do what is necessary to end the witch's curse, right? 1, you can have them quest for it, and you determine the quest, right? What would break the witch's curse? Their adventures. They're used to doing the impossible all the time. The other thing is, one of the other player characters may realize that the death of the witch would mean that the loved character could live. So would one of the other player characters kill the witch just to save their friend, the adventurer? Now you're there. Well, yeah, that is a crackpot Dungeons & Dragons, like It's ready, man. Just watch Practical Magic and run it. And I think your player characters will love it. And the reason why is you want to tell this narrative story, and all the other player characters are on for the ride, but it highlights one of your player characters, and it gives them 2 levels. 2 levels! 2 levels, right? Like, just for engaging with this narrative story, right? And you're like, wait a second, Scott, that's kind of strange. Well, hey, you clearly ain't read Planescape Adventures in the Multiverse, right? Because there you get 3 characters, glitches, and they can't die, right? So this kind of, giving characters protection, advancing them in levels quickly, all this is now part of Dungeons & Dragons, which is exactly why I love Planescape Adventures in the Multiverse so much. It is awesome. This is my idea for a great adventure. I'm glad you let me share it with you. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.